those sob stories being so dangerous. Those rescue stories are dangerous because it's excusing.
You see it all the time with like the Halloween costumes, and people think it's hilarious to scare their dog. That's not how we introduce things. The first year, don't take your dog.
Focusing really on that socialization is super important. I'm not trying to hate on anyone. Like, if you use talking buttons with your dog, you just want to do it the right way. And so what you want to do with the talking buttons is...
And if excitement is the only thing that the dog knows around your kid, so scary. That's where kids get trampled on. Or
it's definitely not, going to help in the long run. You're going to have behavioral issues, and like posting it on social media as if it's like very cute and whatever.
And we have to change some of our own behaviors.
Yeah.
Let's worry about what do we do now that we are here. Hey guys, welcome back to the One with Dogs podcast. Today we're sponsored by Boston's Butt. Why do we both say it?
That was weird. Okay.
Hey guys, welcome back to the One with Dogs podcast. Today we're talking about social media trends and why they're bad.
Yeah, we definitely see so much on social media, good and bad, a lot of it bad. So today we're here to debunk and dissect exactly what's going on social media. We're gonna show a few videos and talk about a few things. So the first one I would say, which is kind of recent with the holiday season, is just people, getting overly, excited about wearing costumes around their dogs.
Yeah, you see it all the time with the Halloween costumes, and people think it's hilarious to scare their dogs with the blow up costumes, or even you put out a reindeer or something and they laugh, they film it. They don't set their dogs up for success. They don't desensitize their dog to it at all. They just here's this huge issue, deal with it. I don't care how you feel.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny, my dog is barking scared at it. That's not how we introduce things to dogs. If we did that same thing to kids, life would be really difficult for them all the time. Maybe that's why we have kids the way they are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely, it's not good to focus on that fear aspect with the dogs and putting them into that fear space. That mindset is just not healthy. And we see it on social media all the time. And it's, it's especially prominent around this holiday season. We just had Halloween. We're, ramping into, Christmas season. And so blow up things in the lawn or just around, it's cool. Your dog ran away and is scared of the thing.
Yeah.
Great. Work at it. Let's not let them just be scared of things.
Yeah. This dog here, Boston, right after COVID, she was not out as much as we probably could have been, but we started working on walking down the street, and our neighbor had frogs. They were brand new, and she doesn't like change, so she was she freaked out. So instead of letting her live in that fear of those things, we walked by those frogs probably 100 times until she's hey, they're no big deal, they're just things that I walk by.
Yeah.
And that happened probably 100 times that first couple months.
Where she was scared of the garden gnome lawn thing for no reason, just because she, was whoa, what is that? It happened a little bit when she was younger with trash cans, and it was just, something that we were pretty aware of. And because we got her in 2020, we really made a point to not allow for her to be that COVID dog. We wanted to socialize her and get her around as much, people, dogs, sounds, things, as much as possible. So you talked a little bit about how we desensitized her. What's a good tip on people when the holiday season's coming up? What should they be doing?
Well, first, always stay away from it's okay. It's okay, trying to console your dog while it's going through something. All you're doing when you're petting her, saying it's okay, is telling her, good job for acting so weird. Good job for being scared of this thing. What I want to do is, if your dog has obedience, let's feed off of that obedience. Let's have her come, sit, yes. Let's praise her for following through with commands and giving her rewards for doing something positive instead of being scared or running away from something that she should absolutely not run away from. There's no reason to be scared of a guarded gnome. There's no reason to be scared of a blow-up Santa. So let's not feed into it. So first thing I would say is go back to basics. Work around it. If I have to back up 50 yards away from said thing that's making her fearful, I will. I'll cross the street, make sure she looks good, and then I'll slowly, incrementally get closer. And once she's closer, have a reward for doing what I want her to do. It's not like just heal. It's heal. Yes, good girl. Dude, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Not punish.
Absolutely, yeah. I think especially with the winter months too, going to Lowe's or Home Depot and doing those exercises. If you if you don't have those things in your yard or your neighbor's yard, like go to Lowe's, go to Home Depot. They allow dogs, and we love going to those places because it gets the dogs around things and different things that they're not used to. People, sounds, different surfaces like the flooring and different things like that.
And don't wait. Do that right away. Like, don't, like, I had a vet tell a client, like, the first year, don't take your dog anywhere. Like, whoa. No, like, you can take your puppy. They shouldn't interact with everybody or any, dogs. Don't let it lick random puddles of water. But take it places. It needs to have life experiences. So that way, when they are 6 months, the first time that Halloween comes, right, they're born in April, never seen really anything over the summer, boom, now there's a scarecrow in my neighbor's yard or a skeleton that goes, ah! Like, they're not, like, freaked out because they've been to Lowe's, who sells these things, and I can walk by them and introduce them on my terms.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's great to get your dog out when they're early, like we did with Boston, and all of our dogs, really. So shame on the vets and people that are telling people, no, don't take it anywhere. Like, no, take it outside. Do things that are safe. Like Jacob said, don't interact with puppies when it's not vaccinated. But like, you can get it out and about in a safe manner without putting its health at risk. And focusing really on that socialization is super important. So. Definitely, super important. So,
and real quick, but before you move on, like rescue dogs too, like after you've done the decompression of like the first couple, the 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months thing, you need to start getting that dog out there. So it's not just that it's a puppy, but you should be working with it within that first 2 weeks to 2 months and getting obedience to where you need it in a bubble. Without anything. But then you need to start increasing those distractions as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because they need more. Like, the leaving excuses of, like, oh, I rescued this dog, which we'll get into later, have lasting consequences to your dogs furthering their obedience.
Right. Absolutely. Like, again, that COVID dog syndrome, it's a real thing. We get dogs all the time that have behavioral issues because they were purchased or raised during COVID. Boston is a COVID dog, but she doesn't have the same behavioral issues because we knew, well, we gotta take her out. So we were outside, parks, places that we were allowed to go, and did the things that needed to happen to desensitize her. So our next topic, I wanted to talk about like dogs protecting or kissing newborns and like the social media.
We just had a big post. We just made a whole podcast on kids, but man, I see it every day. There's a new post of this excited puppy licking this dog's face or
kid's face.
this other kid's face, or you see it like, oh, like my dog's protecting my kid, and like it's like, oh, that's super fun. What about when dad needs to change the diaper?
Yeah.
Like, it's not cute.
No, it's not cute. There's definitely a line, when it comes to that. And, dogs protecting baby from, like, mom and dad, like the parents, it's not healthy. It's definitely not, going to help in the long run. You're going to have behavioral issues, and, like, posting it on social media as if it's, like, very cute and whatever, it's just, like, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. Get
Yeah.
a trainer.
Oh, like go through the sequence of like how to get this kid and this dog in a better relationship for the future. Because, you know, like if you're talking about a 6 month to 2 year dog, that they're going to be around for a long time with this kid. And if excitement is the only thing that the dog knows around your kid, that's what your kid is going to get. And that is so scary. That's where kids get trampled on, or, oh, they were best friends for like the first 4 years, or, oh, he just would follow him around when he crawled, but now that he's standing, he might, you know, then now we have to worry about him biting the kid because the kid can grab him and do all these things. It's like, and they've only known excitement. That's not good for your relationship. The dog should be calm around the kid, loving, calm. And that's when my dog gets to interact with my kid, is when they're calm, not when they're excited, right? Like, do you know what I don't want our daughter to ever do? I never want our daughter, at least for a couple years, to let our dogs out of the kennel. We've allowed them to be pretty excited when they come out of the kennel, so they come out hot. Our kid will get seriously hurt if she opens their kennel. So she's not going to be allowed to open the kennel.
Right.
Because I don't want her to get hurt.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's definitely something that, like, if you are interested in that topic, definitely go back to our first podcast to listen to that, because we talked for a long time about just dogs with kids, what to do, what not to do. And so it's definitely a really good, important topic. But yeah, we just wanted to talk about the social media. I saw a video recently, and I mean, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
Dog licking a kid's face. I mean, like, on top of that, like, again, we said it in the last podcast, but if I'm not gonna let my aunt or my brother kiss my daughter, why am I gonna let this dog, who knows what they just licked, who knows what they're doing outside, kiss my kid on the face?
Right.
Like, it's so scary that we allow these things. And I see, like, people who I know and love letting dogs lick the inside of their mouths, and I just think it's wild.
It's pretty gross. It's pretty gross. They can have parasites, and the amount of clients that I have that maybe have never had their dog's parasites checked. I mean, it's not a risk you want to take. That's pretty gross.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, how many times the first time someone's like, oh, I didn't know that they're getting their fecal checked, is because you asked them. They're like, oh, I didn't know I had to do that.
I didn't know I had to do that. Maybe the vet sends you home with, like, the, just the general, container.
But are we really
stool,
listening in those meetings of,
yeah.
like, what that means? Because I remember before I was, if I had taken the dogs, they would have handed me that and be like, cool, yep, whatever.
You got the vaccines right now. Whatever you get done there, that moment is really what.
If the dog pooped, take it. But I'm not bringing me. You know me, I like vomit if I see dog poop.
Yeah.
Or like have to pick it up.
Yeah,
like, I'm going to put it in a
poop.
vial and carry it around with me.
No. Nope.
Now, I mean, I will if I have to, but it's very much have to. Like, poop is gross.
We gotta pull some teeth to get that done.
Talking about poop, even
gross.
right now, we got to move on.
Yeah. Let's move on. Yeah. So, sob stories, rescues.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not gonna like name names of things, but like on social media, you see all the time these sappy stories, and they like tell it like so cinematically and like tugging on your heartstrings to like donate or whatever. But they tell you these stories of these dogs, and I'll be really honest, it doesn't matter why the dog's here in this situation. What really matters is what are we doing for the dog to put it in a better situation moving forward, because that's so much more important to me than just telling the story, right? Like, we could tell a sad story, like Bones was given up 3 times and was loose on the streets.
Baby.
He has every reason to be reactive to squirrels.
Absolutely.
And to pull you down. Baby lived in a tent.
Baby had like the worst story, and yeah, I mean, it definitely could have allowed for us to like really just focus on that sob story, that like, oh well, she was a rescue, she was neglected, she had,
and we lived in it.
We did live in it.
We lived in that story, and we felt so bad for her, but it just the behavior multiplied
Absolutely. Yeah.
in that space.
It escalated, definitely. And, from dog professionals that are telling you what to do, what not to do, we did those things. We, tried to console her when she was scared. And then I was like, well, she's aggressive. She was showing aggression.
Yeah. I mean, even after consoling, before even working on it, we still just tried to like shelter her.
Yeah.
Like, oh, let's take her out at night. Oh, let's put every form of barricade on the windows so she can't see out. Let's kennel her at every single moment. Let's let her go under the bed because that's where she wants to be. And all those things, just she escalated and got the worst version of those things.
Yep.
Right? So like if she saw anything when we were out, she would react. Instead of like, in the beginning, it was just like if she saw someone close by, she would react. But by the end, before we started like really tackling the issue, because we felt bad, because this is what we were like shown in the media of like what to do with our dog, all of a sudden baby was reactive to like the wind.
Yeah.
And then she was causing more and more fights with Bones, and it was awful.
It was pretty bad. She was reacting to like a person maybe 50 yards from us. Yeah. Where, like you said, it was super close up. So it was really difficult. We needed to get help, like outside help for her, and the first step was really just unlearning those bad habits of saying it's okay to her and consoling her when she was scared.
And we had to change some of our own behaviors.
Yeah.
Because I'm a very excitable human. I huge sports fan. I'm just very passionate about things I'm passionate about. So when I explode. And those would set her off. So I had to like kind of
You're very
calm,
animated.
I had
so
to
you
calm
had to calm
down. She was reacting to my reactions. So I had to kind of like pull back my reactions for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because I can't change who I am. So we had to kind of desensitize her though. So it all started back with getting some sort of foundation. So we went ahead and we tackled her training, which felt like forever.
It did. It definitely. I mean, she's older now, but it felt like a long time. It was all worth it. We hear a lot with our clients that are, kind of in that same boat with their rescues. They'll give us a call, and I find two different things. So they want to, let's say it's a rescue, and I hear a lot, hey, this is the story about the rescue. And maybe we're a few years from them rescuing the dog. We could be 4 or 5+ years from when you rescued your dog, and you're still talking about the story.
Or they're saying they rescued the dog at 6 or 8 or 10 weeks old, and saying that they don't know what happened before they got the dog.
Yeah, that's that second part. Your dog, if you get your dog
at that age,
12 weeks old,
that's on you.
And your dog is 6 years old and still aggressive, that's definitely
nothing happened before you got it at that age.
Yeah.
That's causing this new behavior.
No, you've done something. You missed the mark somewhere. and
it's okay, like we said, we missed the mark before.
Yeah.
But let's not worry about the story. Oh, I found them in a abandoned blah blah whatever. Let's worry about what do we do now that we are here. All right? And it always goes back to let's start with a foundation. Let's create a foundation. Let's find a way to work with this dog. Let's find some common ground, and then let's build some trust, build some obedience, and then let's leverage that relationship that we've created and exploit it.
Yeah. And whether that's like you're doing that on your own,
or you send it away,
a trainer, and you need some help with that. We've helped so many people with their rescues.
I look back, I bet you baby's turnaround would have been quicker if we knew what a board and train was back then. To send her away, get that fresh restart, and then us come from a place of like, oh wow, I saw someone take my dog out in public. I saw someone take my dog out of a kennel. I don't think I could have done those two things. And then coming from that place of confidence to work with her, you got that confidence.
Mm-hmm. Just right? From you taking her out, you had a lot of success with her, and so she was extremely reactive with me, specifically, but you were taking her places. She was able to do things that I never would have dreamed that she could do. And I was like, what's my problem? So then I focused in on what you were doing with her. And I realized my own anxiety and fear of
And
her
emotions.
reactions and emotions were causing more of her reactions than if I had not had
Yeah.
been so emotional.
Yeah. So, like, just to reiterate, like, these stories, they're really just here to pull on your heartstring, to get you to donate money, to get you to pick up the phone to call to foster this dog. But know that story should end with you. If you're going to call, if you're going to donate, it should be to solve that issue of whatever that problem is that dog is having, not to feed into the problem the dog is having. Because if we're just feeding into it, that's going to be an endless money pit. Because there's going to be another dog with the same problem that we're not going to fix. And we're going to throw medications, we're going to throw, all these resources that the rescues don't have at this dog, that at the end of the day probably needs a strict, hey, stop doing that, come here, yes, that's good, and move on.
Absolutely, yeah. Excusing the behaviors is where we see that those sob stories being so dangerous. Those rescue stories are dangerous because it's excusing. It allows for people, or gives them the theme of excusing the behaviors that their rescue does, because it's a rescue, just because it had this story, that's so just is so beyond the truth. With Baby, I can't excuse her behavior because of her story,
or I'm gonna get sued.
Yeah.
Or like I'm gonna live in anxiety every day I take my dog out. No, like I just don't like doing that, and I don't want to live that way.
Because of her story, we have to do X, Y, and Z, which was hold her to a high standard. And now, I mean, she has a pack of, 4 other dogs where she was super dog aggressive to every other dog other than Bones. She's met so many people. We have so many people that, our staff, other trainers, kennel techs, friends, family that she adores and has done so well with, because we were like, this story cannot allow us to excuse, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z because of where she came from to make her the best dog she can be. And same with Bones. Bones was, you had kind of mentioned, he was holding
I mean,
down.
It's like the further away we get from it, like the harder it is to remember how bad Bones was. I mean, there's a whole house in Royal Oak that we just don't even talk about because he like ruined it. He chewed through doors. He dug every spot of a hole that there could be. He ruined all the blinds. He pooped in my Ugg boot.
He was a psycho. He was really bad, and people meet him today and they're like, oh my gosh, I love Bones, I want Bones. And I'm like, dude, you do not want to know Bones years ago when we first got him.
Not to mention his farts.
They're rancid.
They're rancid.
But, I mean, he was a lot. I would, try to do the right things. I'm trying to walk him before we had to go to work, and, he was getting out of the
He could chew through the leash in like 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, how many purses did he chew through?
So many purses.
Dude was like a
straps.
$20,000 dog.
So much damage.
Like within like a couple months.
And a laundry list of issues: separation anxiety, prey drive, digging, barking,
couldn't walk on a leash.
Yeah, couldn't walk on a leash. All of the things that we hear daily from clients, just, who are listeners, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even with him, like, we knew, okay, well, he's been a stray. He does have pretty crazy high prey drive. And because of that, because of what he has, we have to not
meet him,
but like prescribe
training.
Yeah.
And I remember, I still remember the call, like, hey, this is blah, blah, blah daycare. You can come pick up your dog whenever because he can't stay here.
Yeah, like just within a few hours, we tried him at a daycare, and he could not be there. So, and it's so funny because we, how we got into dogs was we ran a daycare.
Yeah.
And
he did great.
He was there every day.
3 months later.
After he had solid obedience and you were working him like a board and train every single day.
Yeah.
He knew place, come, sit. And so he was able to,
be more balanced.
Be more balanced. He knew no. a lot of what he didn't know was cues, social cues.
Yeah,
when
he would
it's
just
too
run up on
much.
dogs and like they would be like, "Stop it!" And he'd be like, "I don't care. I like you. I like every dog." And they're like, "Get away!" And he would not take a cue.
No.
I always love it. Thinking about our two dogs, is that like we always talk about like babies, like your personality and Bones is mine. Like I'm all social and I want to talk to everyone, but sometimes I get myself in trouble by talking too much.
Too much.
And then you're like a little guarded and you're a little protective.
Sassy.
Yeah.
Spicy.
Spicy.
Yeah, that is funny. Dogs, I did hear that dogs can, I don't know, personality. Who takes the traits? I don't know.
Yeah,
but
who follows who, but
it does happen. Yeah, you are excitable like Bones, social like Bones, and like that FOMO, because that's how Bones is. Like he could be in a room with like 20 dogs, but if there's a dog that he can see that's not playing with him, like behind the fence or whatever it might look like, ooh, I want to play with that dog.
That's like me.
And that's you. You'd be talking to people, and then like there's someone that's not talking to you. And you're
like
like
a client dropped off earlier while I was doing stuff, and
you couldn't talk to him.
I couldn't talk to him. I would have loved to talk to them and had a good time, but I have to do work.
Yeah, you have to sometimes be pulled in different directions. So yeah, and then baby, yeah, same thing with me. I'm like, pretty relaxed, and you're very animated, and I'm very relaxed. So a lot like her, where she wants to bundle up and be on the couch in a blanket. It's kind of me. I want my like hot cocoa.
Yeah, I can't believe you
or
don't have
coffee.
a blanket right now.
I know. One of these podcasts,
Thank God the heater's running
have
high right now.
I'll have a blanket one of these times, or maybe my hot chocolate with marshmallows. But
Yeah.
but definitely, before we get too off track, one of maybe the last topic. I don't know if I have. I don't know what we got, but this one's a big one, so it might take up a little bit more than this.
Right.
So, talking buttons.
Talking buttons. You are way more passionate about this than me, but
Okay.
I still find obnoxious in the sense of like, you should probably only have one in your house, and it should be Go Potty.
Yeah.
Like any other one, like you're doing too much.
I agree. This is a big thing on social media, and it's one that like we've used for dogs who've trained with us for Go Potty.
Yeah.
Go outside.
I just saw a little video of one at the Ferndale location of this little tiny dog that Zoe's training, and it's clicking Go Potty outside.
Yep, Nala and Coco, and they're like, Nala's a little bit younger than Coco. Coco's an older, like,
And it took
maybe
Coco a
4 or 5 years.
couple days to kind of figure this out.
Yeah, she's 4 or 5 years old. She's a Yorkie, and she's been pad trained for all of her life, and so changing that, she needed the full 2 weeks, and so did Nala. Nala being a puppy, she was just following suit, and so once we taught them the button, they were super excited about the button, and then we taught them to go outside. So that's kind of why I'm passionate about the talking buttons, and why I think the social media trend and like just the general trend, and I'm not trying to hate on anyone, like if you use talking buttons with your dog, you're not bad, like you just want to do it the right way. And so what you want to do with the talking buttons is associate the talking button with an action that your dog.
So it shouldn't just mean you're when I don't give you a treat.
Right, it shouldn't be swear words. Like, that's okay, it's funny, and like that's a lot of what I see on social media. It's funny, and like maybe you're getting likes and views and stuff, and that's cute, but like your dog doesn't know what it means.
Right.
So, let's say you want to teach that button, your dog's only doing it because it got rewarded for hitting that button. So if you've taught your dog to hit the the B word button or the swear word button, it's not doing that because of any emotion other than the reward that you gave them, the attention you gave them. And so why I don't like this trend of social, on social media or whatever, of the talking buttons is really because of that. People aren't teaching it associated with a task or an action. I could teach Boston a button that was outside, so she knows, like, if she hits that, I can hear that she wants to go outside. If it's potty, it's potty. If it's treat, if you're teaching the button treat, you're giving a treat to your dog. You're going to that treat area, so they learn that association with that word.
Yeah. I guess the thing I associate with this too is the people who sign language to their dogs, and you see these people like doing full sentences or full words that they're writing out with their hands. I sign language with my dogs too, but it's down,
It's very
sit.
simple hand signals.
You can do like stay, like they can know hand signals, but they don't need to know. They're not
Yeah.
going to. They're just waiting for that last command.
Right.
They're not. They're not listening to you say, "Oh, I love you so much," like whatever. I don't.
Almost. We
I don't even want to
know.
be rude right now, but
Yeah, we
I don't know how to
ASL.
sign. But your dog's not listening to you sign. Like they're not watching you. They're looking for the last cue that's associated with a treat or an action or, a consequence. They're just looking for that last command.
Yeah.
So, keep it simple, guys. Word, action. Like that's all I have to say about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Battle knows verbal commands. You taught him English commands, and then during COVID taught him German commands because we have multiple dogs and we wanted him to have a different command. He only knows those commands based on the action that he was in. So, a sit is a sit, and down, he's laying down. He feels that physical
And he
action.
knows.
And he knows, just the general, hand signals, which is really helpful for like scenarios where, let's say, we're through like a window and he can't necessarily hear you, or when I'm on the phone talking and I want to tell him to lay down without interrupting my thought, or the phone conversation. I'll just give him that hand signal. So I mean, obviously, like if you are deaf and you use sign language, it's a great benefit to be able to do that with your dog. But people who maybe aren't, I mean, just keep it simple. Use hand signals, because your dog is really only looking for that last word or signal, sign rather.
Yeah, I think you said that might have been our last topic. There is one thing I want to touch on.
Ooh, okay.
And this week we saw a post go kind of viral within our community, and it's just our dog training echo chamber talking smack. But there's real life consequences to posting our content of like why we show what we do with a lot of the dogs is, dog trainers should be putting out happy dogs who look happy. The amount of dogs that should look scared and shut down, especially off leash or with using a tool, should be zero, because we shouldn't be doing that with them. Like, there needs to be steps to engage a dog and create the dog we want. I mean, how many dogs have left our training, Liz, that like we're like, hey, like he needs to come back when he gains more confidence. We're going to help you get this dog more confident, and when it does, it's going to act up, but we'll be here to help you, and then we can push it further.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know how many, but like a good handful, plus, like, obviously it's not every dog a one size fits all. It's not cookie cutter. We get dogs that have so many different issues, but also their temperament. They may be, a shutdown, like already not very confident being in different environments. So yeah, I mean that definitely kind of allows for us to help those particular dogs, because like a general normal temperament dog shouldn't necessarily be
Shouldn't be cowering. Shouldn't be like hesitating to come. Like, it should be happy to come to me. I don't even care if the owners are around. If I say come, like, the dog should be like, let's go, right? Like, because if our friends come in here and ask our dogs to come to them, they should look happy to see him. I don't care if we're around.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if they're giving him the solid command and they're the ones telling him what to do, they should look happy about doing it. They shouldn't look like tail tucked, head down, like sassy,
Just awkward.
awkward.
Yeah.
So there's this video going around of this lady working a dog with the clients around, and like slamming it with the e-collar, and then has the audacity to throw the leash back on and talk about foundation. Like, what foundation are we talking about? There's seriously no foundation there if you've already broken all the trust by taking that dog off leash and slamming it with the e-collar and pushing it further away, because that's not what that tool is intended for. that dog obviously did not know what the e-collar meant. And like her reward was not high enough to associate any sort of reward.
Right. Yeah, and jumping from like the leash is off to start, not a great start. Like, cool, you can talk about, oh, it doesn't have a foundation. Well, you should have known that from like the first moment that you had your hands.
Well,
on
this
the
lady
dog.
thought the dog had a foundation, which I think is worse.
Yeah.
Right? Like, as a dog trainer, like we're supposed to read and train the dog in front of us. Yeah, we all have a system, right? But those systems, we can like mold them. Not necessarily like we never really go back on what we say or what we do, but we have to like guide them correctly and have the right pattern and steps in place. Like that will never happen with one of our trainers, with one of our dogs, because I would never allow them to have that dog off leash in that situation. Mm-hmm. Right? Like if we have a dog that is more flighty, that is more awkward, we're going to ask that client for more time. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. Like not every dog has to be cookie cutter 2-week program. Not every dog can do everything in 4 weeks. Sometimes it looks longer. If I have to take 10 steps back to get 4 steps forward, I will. Yeah. You know this. I've taken a dog on day 10 and be like, all right, let's get the hot dogs out. Yeah. Let's restart. Like this dog is flustered and that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think, not even a dog in a board and train setting, a dog in a lesson. Like, I don't know the situation of this video, but I think there may have been a client there, like the owner of the dog was there. That's kind of embarrassing too because of the way that the dog was acting. But definitely, I think for someone who does lessons with clients, when I want to include the e-collar is once I know that the dog knows the command. And so I think, was that an issue? Was that something that like they jumped too quickly with this video? Because there's so many dogs. There's a dog that I'm doing lessons with right now. He's not mature, and he shouldn't have the e-collar yet. It shouldn't be there yet. He does know calm.
And the owners need more work.
Yeah.
Right? Look, we're working on the owners. Like the owners aren't prepared for an off-leash dog.
No.
So why would we give them the tool to get their dog off leash? They need work with the leash.
They need to
that
work on
client
the leash.
Needed work with the relationship with that dog. Yeah. That lady needed work with the relationship with that dog. Let's not go outside the lines and give them something that takes away this thing that they need.
Yeah.
They need the leash. Let's leave them with the leash for a little bit.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah, and I think what I saw with this particular video was like she was petting the dog way later after the dog was already shut down.
And the dog didn't even like the pets. Mm-hmm. Right? And that goes back to like what is positive reinforcement? Whatever that dog needs it
at that particular moment.
Yeah.
Because maybe that dog is food motivated, but maybe at this stage of where you've gotten the dog flustered and shut down, it's not wanting any
baby with other dogs around. Is she going to take treats?
No.
Or is distance away from the other dog going to be her reward?
Right.
So you got to read the dog and know the situation. So to me, like, I just wanted to touch on that. The biggest part of that is I'm thankful for that lady posting because it shows what it shouldn't look like. There's so much content of what it should look like out there. So every once in a while, it's nice to really be able to be like, that is not what it's supposed to look like. And I hope clients can see it. And, enough people are shining lights on it with big names that I can see healthy conversations going forward. There's no healthy conversations going on in that content, but there can be healthy conversations going forward with our clients. I hope clients ask you, Katie, and me about how we use the e-collar because they'll see, and they can see it. It's on our YouTube page. It's completely different.
Absolutely. Yeah, social media is a great tool, and there's, like you said, there's a lot of good information and there's a lot of bad information. That's why we're doing this podcast to, call out the bad information, kind of call out the bad trends that, a lot of people that are just dog owners. And I mean, if they're a trainer posting that, I mean, it's just wild. But some of the things we talked about specifically were like people posting their dogs and then people thinking it's funny and, it ends up going viral because it's being shared and that kind of thing. And, it's not funny.
It's not cute.
It's not what should be, kind of put out into that industry where like people are searching on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. They're always searching, you know, hey, I have this issue with my dog, and what should I do about it? And if they're seeing the wrong information consistently, it's difficult to come back from that.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just thankful that there are other trainers that we can look at, you know, Larry Crone, Ivan, Robert Herbal, Tom Davis. There's so many big names out there that do it so well that we can point to and be like, that's the right way.
Yeah.
And us underneath them need to keep stepping up and showing our work as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thanks for bringing that one up. Hey guys, that's all we got for today. So like, subscribe. We post daily, and you know, we've trained over 1,000 dogs, so we definitely will be sharing, you know, knowledge on how you should be interacting with your dog. So if you like what you hear, let us know and send us emails or comments.